Oh,
that?
when I had my own four-man room, they decided, like, we need the space. They want to give you uh, money to get a house off base. And it wasn't really enough to get a house off base, but three or four guys would rent a house
Right.
and they'd all have their own bedroom. I stayed at the house, but everybody was moving off base. And I wasn't allowed to move off base because I was always in trouble. And they kept me on base, and I had my own four-man room. And the four beds, three of them weren't made. Just mine had to be made. You had to bounce a quarter off it. So I got extra bedding,
Mm.
and I made up the one bed, but then I slept in the bed on the opposite side.
Right.
And every morning when I got up, I just grabbed the bed and threw it in the closet and closed the door.
Right.
And so anytime anybody came in to inspect my bedroom,
That was a perfectly
my they could bounce the quarter off my bed because I never used it. It was like that for a month or two.
Hi, granddaddy.
Hi.
How are you this week?
About the same as last week, maybe a little better.
A little better.
I said, well, we could say that I was just depressed about my grandfather. So the chief said, okay.
Right.
So I went before the captain's mast. The chief stood up for me and said, okay. Um, the captain said, being that your chief stood up for you, and I have respect for the chiefs, and we need our chiefs, so I'm going to back the chief. And he gave me 6 months probation. That was it. I
Okay.
didn't have no restrictions, no nothing.
Right.
Wound up going to the Mardi Gras,
Yeah, yeah.
which was really strange.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story that I don't know if I could tell my grandchildren. Look, it was before I became a Christian. So, yeah, I did LSD when I was in the Mardi Gras. But
This is the story that you met Dave. You told David the story the first time you met him.
did I? Okay.
He's not sure he could tell his grandchildren, but this is the
Yeah,
story
I
you
told
meet
David.
with.
David wasn't one of my grandchildren.
He wasn't like he's gonna be soon.
He's going to be my grandson-in-law.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, yeah.
Well, Abigail was in the car too. Was it like?
It
Was
was a
it?
very interesting.
I don't know.
Very interesting. She probably was if David was there. Very interesting.
Yeah, they used to
The
pick.
time in weird, or let's say, the chief. He backed me up, and so after that, um, I was a good sailor for my chief. I showed up on time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was on probation. If I showed up late, I could get in
Get in
trouble.
real trouble.
So, but
But it carried through after probation too, huh?
yeah, and I got in trouble just before I got out of the service too, and they put me on 2 hours extra work duty every day and restricted to base my last 7 days in the Navy. The, the chief didn't like me. I was at a different base. That chief didn't like me, didn't stand up for me, and I was a short timer. The captain afterwards, I was only late like 5 minutes, like that, and the captain, no more than 10 minutes. And it was the first time I was late on this base, and the chief threw the book at me because he was mad at me. And after the captain's mess was over, the captain came up to me. He says, "Look, son, I was just going to let you go because you're out in a week, but I got to back my chief. Sorry about that." He apologized for giving me
Yeah.
all the extra duty and everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, when I had my own four-man room. And that was like I was in so much trouble all the time. They wouldn't let me go. They decided, like, we need the space. We want to give you you guys liberty. to no, they want to give you uh, money to get a house off base. And it wasn't really enough to get a house off base, but 3 or 4 guys would rent a house,
Right.
and they'd all have their own bedroom. I stayed at the house, but everybody was moving off base, and I wasn't allowed to move off base because I was always in trouble. And they kept me on base, and I had my own 4-man room, and the 4 beds, 3 of them weren't made. Just mine had to be made. You had to bounce a quarter off it. So I got extra bedding,
Mm.
and I made up the 1 bed perfectly, and I kept all my stuff in that locker and locked that door. But then I slept in the bed on the opposite side.
Right.
And every morning when I got up, I just grabbed the bed and threw it in the closet and closed the door.
Right.
And so anytime anybody came in to inspect my bedroom,
That was a perfectly
my they could bounce the quarter off my bed because I never used it. It was like that for a month or 2. Was And then you'd go in there, you'd go into the showers. It was nice because it was like the gym showers. You'd have 4 I would turn 4 I'd go in the corner and turn 4 showers onto me. It just, waste all kinds of water, I guess,
Mhm.
taking a shower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they were giving a housing allowance, but it wasn't enough to get your own place.
Yeah, it wasn't really enough to, because we're not married or
Yeah,
nothing like that.
yeah.
You get a certain amount of housing,
So you didn't get that you didn't get the allowance for that because you were on base,
right.
but you also didn't have to pay for housing.
So I didn't get the allowance, so I didn't have to pay it. And then, of course, you could in the Navy, you could spend all your money and not worry because you didn't have to worry about where you're going to get your next meal. You always
Right.
had a meal coming and a place to sleep. I used to lend money to guys.
How'd you learn how to take care of your money?
Oh, the gambling. Everybody used to gamble, and the first time I gambled, I knew how to play poker, but we used to gamble. I used to gamble with my younger brothers and sisters. We used to play with jelly beans, and I always won more. Me and my brother Billy. But now I'm playing there. Now it's real money. I lost my paycheck the 1 week. I had to borrow money from. Uh, I just couldn't. It was like I had maybe 3 games, maybe 4 games of poker, or we played all kinds of poker, AC doozy, 5 stud, whatever. So and they always played with wild cards, which it's hard to bet against wild cards because you don't know what anybody's got with a wild card. And so I. And guys would say, one guy goes, "Oh, this is all I'm going to spend," and I saw him, and I said, "Oh, that's a good idea," but he would always go and get his wallet. I said, "From now on, I'm going to sit down at the game." There was we sometimes there was enough guys to have 2 games going. I said, "I'm going to take out $20, which was worth about more than $100 back then. It was 1960, 1970, I guess." I would throw the $20 down to get my chips because you couldn't have money on the table if
Right.
somebody came in. You weren't allowed to gamble because the Navy knew we were gambling.
Mhm. They
And
didn't have a gambling problem either, did
yeah.
they?
So I said, from now on, I'm just going to spend the money that I says, and I sat down the first time I did it. I said, this $20 no longer belongs to me. I'm giving it to the table. It's costing me $20 to have fun there. And
Mhm,
whatever happens to my money, I don't have to worry about it because I already lost it. It's not my money. So I wasn't concerned about my money,
mhm.
and it changed the way I bet. Not being worried, oh, what should I do? I didn't care.
Right.
And I started winning. That's the secret.
Gotta not
Not
care.
only, to read other guys, but you couldn't be worried about,
Right, right. You get too anxious, you can't.
everything because guys can read that too. And after that, I never really lost. I might have lost a few dollars, $2 or $3, but I either broke even or won. It was all in just like taking that 20 and saying it.
This
I
is for
said,
the house.
in my head, I said, this belongs to the 3 or 4 guys
Right.
that I'm sitting against. This is their money. I give it to them because we were drinking, and I'm just going to drink beer, play cards, and not worry about money at all.
Right.
And that's when I, like I say, changed my whole. Later on, I mean, well, probably still, we used to bet on the football games. Football was great for that. Football, college, and then we get the cards. Pick 3 winners and win.
Like those boxes or something.
No, it wasn't a box. It was just a thing, and it would have all the teams. They'd have
Oh.
the college teams and the NFL teams and the spread, and you could pick 3 teams from anywhere.
Mm.
And if those 3 teams won, they had to beat the spread. You would win, like, if you spent $5, you would win like $8. It wasn't a very good percentage. But if you did 10, you
Right.
picked 10 teams,
Mm.
you'd get $100 for $1.
Okay.
And if you got 9 right, you get $20 for $1.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got 3 wrong,
You get
you
another
lost your
zero.
money. So I did that. I was playing those games for a while, and then I got to know the guy that was doing it, and I started being the guy with the cards. So I was like taking the bets for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and this way I got to play for free. I did the same thing with smoke. Everybody was smoking pot. I would go out because I had the long hair, fringe jacket. So I comb my hair out, wash it out, and I put my fringe jacket out, and I'd walk into the places where they were selling drugs, and I didn't look like a narc. So the guys would send me all the time, and I used to make money. I would buy
Right.
a couple ounces of weed and break it up. And they even rolled some joints and sell the joints for $5 or something like that.
Right.
So, but I didn't have to pay for my
Your
drugs either.
habit.
Yeah, I was a bad boy, but I wasn't stupid.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
How long do you think Mardi Gras story would be?
well, I could tell bits of it. Let's just stop it. This way I have
Yeah.
something to go on.
Yeah. So next time we'll tease that one. We'll talk about Mardi Gras
Yeah,
the
the
next
Mardi
time.
Gras is.
But was there anything else from the? You said did you talk another time about getting sunburn in the Navy? I
Oh,
remember.
yeah. The sunburn I got, and I was with a Sicilian guy. We come back from the beach, and I was Irish. I'm all burnt and blistered. I wasn't blistered. I was burnt on the chest. He goes, "You want to go to the beach the next day?" And I go, "Nah, man, I got to." No, that's the best time. That's when you tan. After you burn, you tan. I said, "Oh, really? Okay." So I go there. I'm not Sicilian.
That's right.
I go there, and I burned. I didn't tan. I bubbled.
Yeah,
So
you get
blistered.
roasted in him.
He's the guy I bought the fringe jacket from. Though that was in school. He was from Brooklyn. It's funny going. Yeah, that's the best time after you burn because then you tan.
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
That's right. Carbon monoxide.
No, that's a too.
That was a
One of
drug-induced super.
Yeah, one of my friends, a couple of them were renting this house, and I stayed there. But I'll get into it the next time. I almost died of carbon monoxide poisoning because they had a little heater there that was sucking up all the oxygen.
And how long were you in the Navy for?
I was in the Navy for 3 years. I should have been in for 4. But Admiral Zimwalt came out and said, anybody who's been doing drugs and wants to get amnesty, turn yourself in. And I was at the point where I just wanted to get out. I was so depressed. I wasn't in a good place. Even had thoughts of suicide, I guess. And the main reason was because I felt that the government I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to go over to Vietnam and fight. And I said, and now suddenly the government said, we are now looking for an honorable way to get out of Vietnam, so we don't look like. And I said, no, you don't get out. You just get out. Of course, I didn't know what I was talking about either. But my thinking was, wait a minute, you're telling guys to go into the jungle, and I could have been one of them. I wanted to be a Marine. You're telling the guys to go into the jungle and fight these people, not to win, so that we can withdraw with honor,
Right, so you can save face.
so we could save face. I said, I don't want to die so you can save face. If it, the domino theory, if I believed in that or whatever, let's stop communism in its track or whatever. But, to save face, no. I was extremely angry at the government for that. And I had it with being in the military at that point because of that fact. Thinking was that you really don't give a crap about us at all.
Right,
You're
right.
willing to send us into the jungle to die
Right.
because it looks good.
So it's the disillusionment, right? The
Yeah,
disillusionment.
yeah. So we don't look like we just. And then we saw what happened a couple of years later in the Saigon, and the helicopters being
Right.
thrown off the
When
ships
they
and
finally
everything.
do
It
leave.
wasn't a very honorable. It didn't work out very honorable.
Yeah.
But we were already out by then, so it wasn't us. That was the Vietnamese. The South Vietnamese
Right.
that did that.
How many of your brothers were in the military?
My brother
We talked about
Rusty, or Philip Jr.,
what branch was he in?
he was in the National Guard.
National Guard.
And then my brother Billy was in the Navy for a year before he got, just over a year he got out. I was in the Navy for just over 3 years, but it probably counted as less than 3 years because I had bad time.
Right.
I would have had to stay in the Navy 7 days extra because I went AWOL.
Oh.
If I had not, unless they let me out early. They used to let people out early too. But anyway, and then my brother Richard, he joined the Navy. He has the most stories. He passed away too. He didn't get through boot camp. They discharged him, unable to adapt to military life. If you don't, my brother was a lovely person. He was like more Kramer than Kramer. Have you ever seen the Seinfeld show and you see Cosmo Kramer? My brother was like that. You got raw thoughts from my brother. He didn't think about what he was saying. He would just give you the raw thoughts, and you go, "Okay, Rich."
There was no filters.
No filter, no filter. He had a little bit of a filter on some things, like he wouldn't, tell my mother, "Yeah, I'm doing drugs, Mom," something like that. So he did have some filter, but for the most part, when he was talking to you, what you saw is what you got. And so he was in for a month. And when you're in the Navy, when you get halfway through boot camp, if they want to put you back, they put you back a week. And they call it Mickey Mouse Camp. And they send you over to the old side of Great Lakes, which was last time in operation during World War II. And now it's like the new side is all new buildings and everything. But over there, and he says, they'd make you wash your clothes. We had to wash our clothes by hand and hang them out and dry. And then he said they would make him dig a hole, throw his clothes in the hole, and then bury them, stomp on it. And then you had to dig them up and rewash them. So you had to do these things. Just trying to teach. And like my brother was not the type of a guy that would do that. So after his week in Mickey Mouse, they said, "You'd be better off as a civilian, son." So I don't
He
think he
was
counted as being in the service.
so he was a really good mechanic, right?
Oh, he was an excellent mechanic.
He was
He could, you know, but he got a job in a bread factory, and he said the same guys would come and repair it. He goes, "I want to be that guy," and he became that guy. He became the guy at the bread factory when the machine broke down. You called Richard,
Mm.
get Richard over here. We have a problem. And he'd come over and he'd
Fix it.
fix the job.
So a lot of your brothers are well,
Yeah, all
some of your sisters too, being
my brothers and
mechanically
sisters,
inclined.
they
Yeah.
all know how to do just about everything and
And how to make
anything.
things, how to build things.
Yeah, how to build things. That all comes from my father,
Yeah.
because like I say, he couldn't afford an electrician, so he was the electrician. He couldn't afford a carpenter, he was the carpenter.
Right.
Couldn't afford a plumber, he was the plumber.
And you guys were the apprentice, whatever kid was there,
Yeah.
available in the right age. You're now the journeyman.
Whoever was there was the helper, so we all learned a little bit. My father was really good at it, at what we call MacGyvering, and
Yeah.
most of my brothers and sisters are good at MacGyvering, like,
Bubble gum and duct
because
tape.
my father would be there, it's like, we don't have the right stuff to fix this, but you know what? If we do this way and then do this way, boom, it's working. Well, all right, let's go. I slapped a little loud there, but so that's what I did, and people started calling me. My grandchildren started calling me MacGyver, but before that, people were calling me Professor from Gilligan's Island. You're like the professor on Gilligan's Island. Whatever it is, you'll make it work.
Two coconuts and a twig. We can make a radio.
Yeah, right. There was Kevin, my brother Kevin. He was in the Merchant Marine Academy, and he was an officer in the Naval Reserve, and he married an officer in the Naval Reserve, and his wife made captain, and he was commander, I think, just below the cap, one notch under the. But we always should make fun of him that his wife outranked him.
Yeah, he didn't mind.
What?
He never minded that.
He didn't mind. It was a big family joke,
Mm-hmm.
The wives always outrank us anyway, but she doubly outranked us.
At work and at home. So Jimmy was in the fire department.
Yeah, my brother Jimmy was in the fire
Is that how he
department.
evaded the draft, or was the draft over when he was?
The draft was over by
Yeah,
then.
okay.
He's my age.
Oh,
Yeah, he was.
family
The
thing.
war was pretty much over by the time my brother Jimmy was. It was over when Richard went in too. Richard's younger than Jimmy.
Oh, he
my-
joined? He wasn't drafted?
No, he joined. He wanted to be like his two older brothers.
Yeah. Get both dishonorably discharged.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't. So you just
Yeah.
got out early. They made a special
He
account.
just wanted to try it out. He just wanted to try it out for a while. I'll try out the name. Yeah, my brother-in-law Dennis, who was older than me, he has
Kathy's.
buku stories of being going through the draft board. He had just testing you, and he had. I hope they taped some of those stories. He had some of the funniest stories of him going through just that one day, going from test to test to test. And he said he couldn't, at one point he couldn't pee, and he was going to ask the guy next to him to pee in a cup for him because, what's the difference? And the other guy had some kind of disease, and he pulled him out of line because I guess if it was good I didn't get his, they would have found out I was cheating. But yeah, he had, and then, who was after that? Was anybody after that? I don't think so. No, nobody else went into the service after that. But I had some nephews.
Josh was in the Air Force.
Joshua was in the Air Force.
They were working on airplanes.
Yeah, but he was in for.
He was there for a long time. They didn't renew him when Obama cut some funding or something like that.
Yeah.
Bobby and Joseph.
Not that he was any more problems than I was when I was in the Navy, but
Well, there was a greater need when you were there.
yeah, they weren't letting us out easily when I was in there.
And Bobby and Joseph were both in the
Yeah, Bobby
Navy.
and Joe were both in the Navy.
Is there anyone else? And Joel.
Joel was in the. That's right. Joel was in the Army. Did time in Korea. Can't think. I don't know if there's anybody else, because I have so many nieces and nephews. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I guess we can
I mean,
continue.
my brother took the test when Rob took.
Oh yeah, my brother,
your
my
son.
son, your brother. when he was 17, he went down to the Navy recruiters and they said, well, you need your father to sign it. And I went down there, but I didn't tell the recruiters that I had been in the Navy. I just asked them questions.
Hmm.
And when they gave me the answers, my son heard them and said, one of the biggest things was like my son, he's very like meticulous, clean. He's 6 years old. He'd go outside and play and get dirty. He'd come in the house, wash up and change his clothes and go back outside and play because he didn't want to play in dirty clothes. And then he'd get those clothes dirty. So when he found out that in the Navy, there's a possibility of you being in what they call a hot cot. A hot cot is like it's your bed for 12 hours. Then it's somebody else's bed for 12 hours. And
Three
he says,
people.
"Wait a minute, I'll be sleeping in the same bed as somebody else sleeping in it? No,
Yeah,
that's not for me."
and then when he took the test, it was like, he scored like 3% in mechanically inclined, like off the charts in these other areas or something like that, like 97 in coding, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
he was
Yeah, it was,
90, 70 in coding. He did bad in mechanical because
it's
he
just,
even as like as a kid, I don't know how he is my son. My daughter, who is like
he has more, you're
2
not the only input.
my daughter is 2 years older than him, and they both had bikes. He had a really, AM bike you
BMX
could pick
bike,
up with your
yeah,
pinky and
like,
everything like that, and, he would always buy fancy stuff for it, lightweight, titanium, everything. Uh, if Rachel got a flat tire, Rachel got out, and I had a repair kit, she would take the tire off,
yeah,
take the
take out one of
tube
the
out,
repair kits,
find a
find the
hole,
hole.
patch it, and put it all back together. My son got a flat tire. He'd go to the bicycle shop and said, "I need a new tube," and the guy would give him a new tube.
He wouldn't even put it in.
Yeah, and put it in for him,
That's
and
right.
do all the work for him. And I said to him, I said, Rob, you better become a doctor or a lawyer because he's a lawyer now because this is a little expensive if you want to pay
Right, right,
everybody to do
never
all your
fix
work
anything
for you.
yourself.
So he took me to heart and became a lawyer.
Yeah. He took the scenic route.
Yeah,
But he
he used to do all those bike races in the woods.
Right, right.
They didn't do the tricks. He was more of a racer.
The speed.
My nephews were tricks, and they were breaking legs and collarbones, and yeah, so he was better off on the trail rather than on
The half pike or
the
whatever, or
half pike track.
yeah, they have the pool, whatever
Yeah, my
track.
nephews made their own things, and they were riding their bike, woohoo, and flipping around, coming back down, and yeah, but it could be dangerous when you miss one little miss.
Next week, I'm not going to be here, but maybe we can just do the call. I can just call you. It's very easy to link it over the phones. You just need to download the app.
Well, next week we'll have Horizon.
Next week, you'll have Verizon.
Horizon. Oops.
That's the magnet.
Active.
All right. Until next time. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start, telling your siblings on Facebook about how you're telling all the stories and see if they wanna set the record straight. See if I told my cousins, they said, "Oh, you'll get a lot of engagement with that."
Yeah, but I didn't involve them in many of the stories.
Yeah, I
So,
know, but they all have their own
yeah, their own
perspectives.
versions. They might have their own versions of my father's stories.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should get some of them down.
yeah,
You know, I wish we did this with my father and mother.
yeah. Well, there's the
Even,
Newsday article too.
even Gigi, we could have asked him, "What was this? What was your mother? Who did it?" Because I remember, I know my granddad and his father. Yes, him. I know
Right.
about some of his brothers and sisters. He had a sister named Sarah, but I don't know. Remember because he showed me the death notice in the mail in the paper. Oh, this is my sister, but she passed away. And my grandfather was like He was in his 80s that time, and that was his older sister. So, yeah, my grandfather. We're not tape.
He's still recording.
I don't
You,
have.
you don't have the mic on, I know.
Came to him.
Yeah, you told that story. It's okay.
They might have different stories. I don't even know if they know. But I would have liked to know, like, oh, well, what ship did you come over the first time? What when you went back?
Yeah.
You know,
Did you ever tell that story about Debbie and Jimmy when they went up to that wax machine museum? Next time.
Yeah.
they went up to the Mortons at
But we don't even know if those are really our family
yeah, right,
anyway.
right. But they're Mortons. It's good enough. It's close enough.
I like telling people that he got deported for making merry with drinking with the men.
Drinking whiskey and making merry with the Indians. What do you
Yeah.
mean by making merry?
You'll have to.
He was having a good old time. He should have ran away with the Indians. Got deported. He was probably the first person deported from America.